Good morning, welcome to yoga. Today we're going to be playing with some hips. We're going to get them warmed up, we're going to get them stretched out. Let's start though with our pranayama, our breathing exercise. So for this, we'll sit with a long spine. You can sit on the floor or you can sit on a bolster. Take a few breaths in and out. And for our breath work today, let's take a deep breath in as if we're filling ourselves up all the way to the top with air. And as we exhale, we're just going to take little pauses. Now it can be quite tempting to clench and hold when we get to a pause, but I want you to think about this like an elevator. We're going to take it all the way up. We're going to stop on the next floor down, and you don't want that elevator to like jerk and stop. You want it to come to a slow stop and hold, and then gradually make its way down some more until you're all the way at the basement. Take it all the way back up to the top. We're going to add some arms to this. We'll inhale, take our arms up overhead. Turn your palms downwards and gently exhale, pause. Exhale, pause. Exhale. Then open wide and all the way back up again. You can pause as many times as you like, for as long as you like. But I encourage you to, just as we were sure that our breath work was gentle, our arms are gentle as well. So our shoulders are relaxed. And it's almost like they're pushing down on something. Like if you were to completely relax your arms, they would have something of resistance to hold them up. Come back to the natural breath. And relax the neck. And shoulders. Bring those hands behind you. We're going to stretch out the fingers and wrists, warm up the hands. Start to push that movement up into the shoulders. And then we'll bring our feet a little wider than our hips, knees up. We're just going to drop them left to right. Go ahead and leave them to one side and sit up on top of your hips. We'll rotate our spine, look over one shoulder and then the other. Back and forth. If you find a spot that feels extra sticky and you want to kind of sink into it and hold it, feel free to do so. Mine's right here. Now have everyone go ahead and rotate towards that front knee. We'll put our hands on the floor and we're going to lift our back foot. It might not lift very far and that's okay. Just lift it as far as it goes and kind of push against that resistance and then back down. Excellent. Bring this knee more underneath of your heart. We're going to rotate on top of it and bring your heart down towards it. Lift your chin, lift your heart, lift your whole torso, stretch up and back. And then we'll take our legs over to the other side. We'll start by that rotation. Again, if you find a spot that needs a little bit more attention, feel free to pause and hold that. And we'll all bring our hands over that front knee and play with lifting the back foot. And we'll bring this knee underneath your heart, lengthen out the back leg. We'll stretch out over the top of the front knee. Hands under the armpits, lift your face and your heart and your whole torso and feel across your collarbones. Open up, broaden across the shoulders. And then we'll head back to the center. We're going to put the soles of our feet together. for cobbler pose or Baddha which means bound angle pose. It's bound because we're going to hold our toes or our ankles. All right, and first thing I want you to do is really stick out your tail. So long spine. My knees, you'll notice, aren't very low to the ground. That's just me. Your knees might already be touching. In that case, tip further, pull the heels in closer, whatever you need to do to feel that deeper stretch. Roll back the shoulder blades, feel those back muscles engage, and use your hands to pull you a little bit closer to your feet. And then if you like, we can take these elbows and press them into the knees to encourage them down. Now here's the trick. Don't turn into a gorilla, okay? Long spine, engaged back. Now I'm putting a little bit of effort here. I'm having to actually pull up on my ankles to get my knees to go down. And then I'm going to use my inner thighs to resist. I'm going to push my legs back against my knees. Now right now in this position, my arms are way stronger. So if I want my legs to win, I have to let go a little bit with my arms. I'm going to let my legs win, but not by a lot, right? It's not super easy. I'm actually working to get these in. And then they're going to keep trying to lift up while I let my arms win again, very slowly. Trying to smooth out those jumpy spots. My chest comes forward again. Knees are still pushing against my elbows, but elbows are winning. Go ahead and let the legs win again. I'm actually kind of enjoying this stretch across the mid-traps here for my shoulders. And then those shoulder blades go down and back. We'll do one more. Awesome. Take your right leg out in front of you, and it's going to go right smack in front of you. So that means your hips, we're actually going to try to point our belly button more towards our pinky toe, if anything, just to make sure that we're not going a little bit sideways. Lean out over the top of your leg, belly button first. So wherever your hands go, wherever your head go, doesn't matter. Just bring the navel as far down that leg as you can. And then roll your ankle, wiggle your toes. And bring it on back. We'll take the second side. Straight out in front of you. If anything, turn your pelvis and your belly button a little bit more towards the pinky side toe. Bring that torso forward from the navel first. Go ahead and roll that ankle and foot out. I've got a creepy, crawly little friend here that I'm going to remove while you stretch out that ankle. All right. Go ahead and bring both legs in front of you. Tip the pelvis back. And again, pull the navel forward. So literally somebody's grabbing you from the belt, pulling you over. Go over as far as you can with a long spine. So once you're round, you've gone just a little too far, pull it back up. Now, bend the knees to meet your belly and or chest. Chances are, with the knees bent, you can go a little bit further down. So now your belly and chest can push your knees back down. So that's our new goal, is belly and chest pressing the legs down. I'm actually holding my feet so that I'm pulling my pinky toes back so that I get my stretch. And let it back up. Let's take crossed ankles. We'll stretch down through the sides a little bit. We'll take one arm up and over. And our goal for this is going to be right down here above the hips. Roll it on down towards the knee. Stay low into your lap. We're going to sway over to the other knee. Trying to keep that back buttock pressed down into the floor. And bring it on up. Let's cross our ankles the other way. Take the second arm up and over. Again, focusing on the low waist right around the hips. Roll it on down towards the knee. Swing it forward and over to the other side. And roll it up. Excellent. Let's make our way up to hands and knees. If you can, we're going to increase our mobility in our hips by going straight over here. If that doesn't work for you, get to hands and knees however it does. All right, we'll take very simple cat-cow. So this is our scared Halloween cat. And then we'll take our cow. Find your full ranges of motion for these. Press it back, child's pose. Hips go towards your heels. For right now, we'll keep the arms long, reach away. Really feel the stretch, maybe from your tricep down into your lats. And then bring yourself up to hands and knees. Keep pushing yourself forward. We're going to pop up on our toes. Tight tummy, and there's a slightly rounded tush to engage my abdomen. Knees back down, press back. Take it forward again to your plank. Swing the right knee forward. We're going to put our shin on the ground between the hands. Back knee is off the ground, and I'm getting a really deep hip flexor stretch. So the front of my hip is stretching. My tail is trying to push down and towards the front knee. And my back knee is lifting up to increase the stretch. My shoulders, of course, are down, chest open. And then press the tail up into the air. We're going to do this like somewhere between a lunge and a downward facing dog. Get your feet as flat on the ground as possible and wiggle your hips. Keep those feet as flat on the ground as you can. I know that back one's extra hard. And then step back for a full downward facing dog. Pedal out the ankles. And bring the knees down. Press back, child's pose. Bring it up to your plank. Slight tuck in the tummy. And bring the second shin forward. Set the knee down between the hands. Let those hips sink down as the back knee is driving upwards. Press back on those feet to that somewhere between dog and lunge position. Get your feet as flat to the floor as you can. Rock the hips. And step it back for a full downward facing dog. This time, I want you to focus on heels going to the floor. And bring the knees down to the floor, child's pose. But this time, we're going to bring the hands to the traditional place down by the feet and let the shoulders round forward. Let the back of the neck relax. to put just a little bit of space between my knees to give myself a little more room to breathe. Feel yourself be heavy against the floor. And stretch those hands back up in front of you, downward facing dog. Stretch your right leg up high behind you. And bring it forward, low lunge, foot on the ground between the hands. If you need to grab it and pull it forward to help you out there, feel free. But remember, we are going to have that back knee driving upwards while the hips are driving forwards and down. There you go. Press back to pyramid pose. So both sets of toes are facing the top of your mat. Trying to get that back heel down on the ground. Letting myself fall over the front leg. Bend back into the knee again, low lunge. Send that right foot back up into the air behind you. Downward facing dog. And child's pose, arms outstretched in front. Take it forward to plank. And dog. Left leg high behind you. Swing it forward, foot between the hands. Back knee driving up, hips pulling towards the front heel. Press it back, pyramid pose. Now this front foot might want to roll open, showing off the arch of your foot. We're going to resist that, push it down. Forward into your lunge. Three-legged dog with that left foot high behind you again. And set it down. This time let's do a really wide knee child's pose. Get them way out there. Come forward on your elbows. Sphinx pose. Roll the shoulders back. Lift up through the chest. So if you think of your spine going from your tail to the base of your head as being one long bow, you're not going to do anything that really kinks that bow. So we're not going to be, really pushing our chin to the ceiling, but we are going to be lengthening the nose upwards. Thinking about pulling the heart forwards. Let your arms and shoulder blades help with that. Like your shoulder blades can wrap around the back of your heart and just support it forwards. and let it go. Come down to whatever's comfortable for you. We're going to bring our knees and feet together facing down. I know this isn't the most comfortable position for everyone's kneecaps. We won't be here long. Bring one heel up behind you, long leg. So it's coming from my hip. That's hard to see in the video, but it's from the hip coming all the way up. And there's a tendency to want to make your leg go out to the side because we're pretty weak in the straight up position. So that's what we're trying to work on right now. We're just going to go up and down, straight up. Don't let it go out to the side. And you might notice that your lower leg is really pressing down into the ground to assist the lift. Resist that urge. Try and make your left leg or your passive leg as passive as possible while the other one is lifting. Excellent. We'll take the other side up and down. And know that other leg really wants to help. Try and make it passive. It's all about the lifting leg, up and down. Straight up, don't let it go out to the side. If anything, think about pulling it a little bit extra to the midline. Excellent. Come back up to the elbows. Now we're just going to play here for a moment. So think of that arch that goes all the way up to your neck. Now we're going to think about it going all the way down to the tail. So we don't want to put a huge kink right here. That is the part of our back that has the most amount of arch available for us. We're going to think about keeping it rounded and not bent. So that means pressing the tail away from you. We're going to bend at the knees instead, and we're just going to play like a little kid. We're going to pull one heel towards the buttocks after the other one. Now for some of us, our hamstrings are going to be like, what, and want to cramp. So don't pull that hard. Hopefully we've stretched out our hamstrings enough today already that they're not too active. But I just want to have us play, stretching the quads, stretching out the hip flexors. All right, take those knees wide. Press back, wide knee child's pose. Find your plank. And downward facing dog. Take your right leg up and over. We're going to do a scorpion dog. So we bend the knee, lift the right hip as high as you can. Both legs are really strong and firm, pressing into the mat. Don't let that left one bend on you. Press your foot behind you. And then swing the knee forward, low lunge. Press back, pyramid pose. So we've done one pyramid pose where we focused on the stretch. If you'd like to this time focus on the balance, you can remove your hands from the mat, or maybe you bring them closer to your foot to help bridge that gap. Now for me, I tend towards hypermobility in my knees. So I'm actually squeezing my quadriceps to help lift my kneecaps. So I don't know if you can see, but here's kneecap low and high. So I want to lift my kneecaps, not drive my knee down. And that's going to help protect the knee from hyperextending. That way I can put weight on my leg without injuring myself. Ooh. Need to work on that balance. Step back, downward facing dog. And wide knee, child's pose. Let's sneak a little bit of tricep stretch in here. Get the elbows as close to the side of the head as possible and bend the elbows. Hands go towards the base of the neck. Press the hips in the opposite direction. The tail is really, really reaching for your toes. Bring it back to your plank. Downward facing dog. With your left leg up high over the top. Scorpion dog. And bring the leg forward, low lunge. Press back, pyramid pose. Remember, we're rolling towards the arches. And again, you can focus on flexibility where you just hang into gravity, or you have that option of playing with balance. Step it back to downward facing dog. Come forward to your Sphinx. Let your chest come down. We're going to think about tying our ankles and knees together and lifting from the hips. I know it's hard to see here because mine don't go up super high, but my thighs are coming up off the ground. My pants are just hanging out down there. We're going to lift and lower. So while my heels are going up, I'm thinking about pressing my tail down towards them. One more. All right, roll to the side. So the straighter in a line you are, the more core strength this will take. Also, it can put a bit of weight right there on the side of your hip bone. So if you need to get a little bit of weight off, or you need a little bit more assistance with balance, just bend that bottom knee a little bit. I'm going to take my top ankle and lift it right up to the ceiling. So my toes are facing same direction as my nose. Top ankle right up to the ceiling. We'll do some lifts here. And then I'm going to bend my knee and bring my foot as close to my belly button as possible, or at least as close to in front of my belly button as possible. It might be away a couple inches or a foot. And I'm gonna press my knee away. Maybe your elbow helps, maybe you wrap your arm around and give it a hug, whatever works for you. All right, so this is the feeling, right? We've got that deep stretch in the glute happening. Go ahead and let the foot go for a moment. We're gonna come up on this elbow. Bring the foot back up. Bottom leg's very straight at this point. I'm gonna press down through the foot. So maybe you're only taking a little bit of weight off your hip, or maybe you're bringing that hip up off the ground. The idea is to take it as straight up as possible, which does increase the stretch as well. We don't move this way in daily life very often, so this is a weak set of muscles that we're focusing on here. Let's do one more and let it go. Roll to your back. That front foot is going to go on the opposite knee. Figure 4 stretch. So for me, I had my right knee up. My right knee is still going to be right here. I'm going to bring the whole lap up to me. We're getting a very similar stretch to what we just did. It might be a little bit different, getting a little more piriformis for us. If you like this stretch, but you find that your shoulders get crunched up, or you just want to take it deeper, my suggestion is use a wall. Not right now, but I will show you while you're hanging out there. So I have a wall right here. And so now the wall gets to do all of this pulling. So all I have to do is relax into gravity. Very, very efficient. All right. Go ahead and take that foot back down so your feet are side by side, about hip width apart. I'm going to reach my hands down towards my feet, taking my shoulder blades with me down my back. Curl my tail under, lift the hips to the ceiling. Imagine there's a ball between your thighs. You're going to squeeze it right there between your knees and roll your spine back down. We'll take this up and down a few times. There can be a tendency again to roll out to the outer edges of your feet. We're going to avoid that and instead make sure we're focusing on down with the arches. And let it go. Go ahead and roll over to the other side. I'm going to flip sides so I can keep an eye on you. And we're back over here. Those long legs, maybe a slight bend in the bottom leg. Now we're going to lift. Myself so I don't kick my plates. We're going to lift and lower. Use that outer ankle. Last one. And bring that give ourselves a minute to just get used to this stretch. Let it go a little bit so we can get up on our elbow. Lowering it back. And let's lift that hip. We're lifting it by pressing down through the foot, keeping our pelvis as stable as possible. So it's going up and down, but it's not twisting. To protect your shoulder and neck over here, we're actively pressing down in through the elbow. Last lift. And we'll roll to our back. Figure 4 stretch from the back. Alrighty, bring those feet back down. We're going to take them about shoulder width apart, maybe a little wider, and drop them left and right, just like we did in the beginning of class. And then let's stretch out the outside of the hips. We're going to take both legs over to one side. And we can do a really big spinal twist by bringing this knee all the way over to the mat while keeping our shoulder blade down back behind us. Or we can allow the outside of that hip to get its good stretch by lengthening out the top leg. And we'll make our way over to the other side. to head towards our Shavasana, our relaxation pose. So take whatever position helps you relax most. Traditionally, it's done flat on your back with your arms, palms up to your sides, and your feet relaxed out, legs long. If you need some low back support and want to put a bolster under your knees, maybe a pillow under your head, feel free to do so. Let's take a moment to just flex and wiggle our fingers and hands. And then let them rest. Notice how your toes and fingers will reach for the sky when they're relaxed. Just like your chest and belly rise as you inhale. And as you exhale, notice the things that sink downwards. Your heels, calves, thighs, buttocks, back, shoulder blades, arms, back of the hands, back of the head. Notice what rises on the inhales. Notice what falls on the exhales. Now begin to move and stretch the body again. And taking your time, shift your way up to sitting. We'll bring our hands to heart space and our thoughts to something for which we're grateful. Together, we'll take a deep breath in and out, and I invite you to Om along with me on the exhale if you like. Breathe it in. Thank you.